Welcome to The Explainer. We're all about breaking down big ideas. And today we're tackling a pretty explosive one. Are the biggest names in AI basically gaslighting all of us for their own profit?
All right, so let's get right into it. This whole idea kicks off with a really powerful accusation from a journalist named Karen Hall. And you gotta know, she's not just some outsider looking in. She has spent years deep inside the AI industry.
So Howe's claim is a big one. She's saying, look, I've seen the internal documents, and what they show is that this isn't some accident. These companies are deliberately trying to create this feeling of hype and maybe a little bit of fear in all of us. And why would they do that? Well, it's pretty simple. To extract and exploit. Over and over again. It's all about profit and power.
So that really begs the question, right? It's the big question for this whole explainer. If what we're being told is just a story they've cooked up, what's the real truth? What's actually hiding behind all those promises of a perfect future and all the scary warnings about AI?
To try and figure this out, Howe's investigation zeroes in on the company that's pretty much at the center of all this hype. You guessed it, OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT.
Okay, so get this. This is where it gets really interesting. Look at how Sam Altman talks about AGI, or artificial general intelligence. It completely changes depending on who's in the room. When he's talking to Congress, oh, it's going to cure cancer and solve climate change. To us, the consumers, it's just a super helpful digital assistant. But to Microsoft, who's writing the checks, it's a system that's going to generate $100 billion. The pitch is always different. The goalposts are constantly moving.
And you know what? This isn't some new strategy. According to Howe's reporting, this has been the playbook from the very beginning. It's how they convinced heavy hitters like Elon Musk to get on board and fund the whole thing, basically by playing on their own hopes and fears about AI.
And what happens when you run a company like that? Well, a pattern starts to emerge. Just look at this timeline. You've got these incredibly important founders and researchers, people who were true believers at the start, but one after another they clash with Altman's vision, and they leave. And get this, they often go on to found competing companies with names like Anthropic or Safe Superintelligence. Kind of makes you wonder, right?
And here's the really crucial point about all this internal drama. This isn't just random criticism from people on the outside. These are the co-founders, the people who were in the room where it happened. They got so worried about the direction things were going that they tried to stop it, and when that failed, they left. I mean, Ilya Sutskever himself said he doesn't think Sam should have his finger on the button for AGI.
Okay, so the drama inside OpenAI, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. But according to Howe, it's really just a symptom of a much, much bigger issue. And this brings us to her main idea, her central theory, which she calls the empires of AI.
So what does she mean by that? Well, Howe argues we need a major mindset shift. We have to stop thinking of these companies as just, cool tech startups. We need to see them as what they've become, modern-day empires. They act on a global scale just like empires of old, in a relentless pursuit of resources, labor, and ultimately control. And this isn't just about OpenAI. It's a pattern she sees across all of big tech AI.
And this empire building, she says, follows a pretty clear four-step playbook. Step 1, claim resources. We're talking about our public data, artistic creations, land, water, power, you name it. Step 2, exploit labor. They use a huge global workforce for things like data annotation, often for very low pay. Step 3, control knowledge. They hire almost all the top researchers and can basically bury any findings they don't like. And finally, Step 4, craft a narrative. They push this simple good versus evil story, like we have to beat China, to justify why they need all this power.
And this control goes way beyond just the tech itself. It's about controlling the entire conversation around the tech. They get to set the research agenda. They can intimidate critics with legal action. And they can use access to their top people as a carrot to make sure journalists write favorable stories. It's all about shaping the public image.
All right, but this empire idea, it isn't just some abstract theory. It has very real, very tangible costs. And those costs are paid by actual people and by the planet itself.
Let's just start with the environmental footprint. Look at this number. OpenAI is planning a supercomputer called Stargate, and it's projected to use over a gigawatt of power. A gigawatt. To put that into perspective for you, that is more than 20% of what a city like New York needs to run, all for just one computer.
And these massive data centers, they have to be built somewhere, right? They get plopped down in real communities. And often, they choose vulnerable, minority communities. They strain the local power grids. They suck up water supplies. Look at what's happening in Memphis. A supercomputer for Elon Musk's Grok AI is being powered by 35 methane gas turbines.
It's just pumping pollution into the air of a community that is already dealing with decades of environmental racism. And the human cost, well, it's just as stark. Think about all the people training these models. It's created this whole new global class of digital workers, often working for low wages under incredible pressure. I mean, just read this quote from one of them. "I screamed at my child. I've become a monster. It's absolutely heartbreaking." This whole system creates this really cruel, vicious cycle. Hall calls it breaking the career ladder. Think about it. An entry-level worker gets their job replaced by AI. And what's the new job available to them? A low-wage data annotation gig where they are literally training the very AI that took their job in the first place. It's a trap.
Okay, so if this whole imperial model of building AI is the problem, what's the solution? Is there another way, a better path forward?
This is where Howe proposes a really cool idea. She says we need to think in terms of rockets versus bicycles. The rockets are these giant language models like GPT-4. They consume insane amounts of data, energy, and labor, all trying to achieve this vague, general intelligence. But the bicycles? They're smaller, more efficient, and built for a specific purpose. The perfect example is DeepMind's AlphaFold. It uses way less power, but it's solving a huge, specific problem, protein folding, that could literally change medicine forever.
And that's really the core of the whole argument here. The solution isn't to just, stop all AI development. It's about stopping this imperial model of extraction and exploitation. It's about finding a way to build AI that's based on a fair exchange of value, where the benefits actually flow back to society, not just into the pockets of a few giant companies. And this actually points to what might be the biggest weakness of these AI empires. According to Howe's sources inside these companies, the whole business model is built on a knife's edge. The revenue targets are so incredibly high, so extraordinary, that they need things to go absolutely flawlessly. They need all of us, you, me, businesses, schools, to just adopt their technology, and to do it fast, without asking too many questions.
And that leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question, doesn't it? If their whole plan really depends on everything going flawlessly, on all of us just going along with it, should we let it?